Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. This is William Keat, and we're continuing with the series of videos on the essentials of the British Constitution. I think this is now part 8, and we're using the document that I've written, the Occulted Powers of the British Constitution, as the basis for that, to go through it section by section, and then I'm expanding on bits of it if we think we need to. So we're now on part 8, and this is the section to do with money and our banking. So usury and our money system. So this is not an area of expertise specifically of mine. I've looked into monetary policy and economics to some extent, but it's not my sort of primary area of expertise. But I've written a little bit about it because quite clearly, in the context of the Constitution, there are certain things that absolutely should not be happening. So we'll get into those now. So let's get straight into it. So here we go. Usury and our money system. Finally, it is critical to understand that our current usurious methods of banking are quite simply extortion of the citizens and absolutely precluded by our common law constitution. There is no place in our society for the unlawful banking system of the type we have now, with our private central banks that fall under the authority and central control of the Bank for International Settlements. Interest-bearing debt and fractional reserve banking is made unlawful under our constitution for the purposes of supplying the country's money. Ending these practices alone would no doubt cause a very significant improvement in the health and abundance of the economy of the nation. I don't think there's much that I can really add to that. It's pretty clear that many of us know the true nature of the banking system of the world, and I'm absolutely certain that under the Constitution, what is actually happening there is technically unlawful, is unconstitutional. So the Bank of England should not be operating in the way that it is. So let's continue. In an emergency only, it may be worth using the tried and tested system of money creation performed by the Treasury, based on the assets of the nation as done at numerous points in history in both the United States and Britain. Colonial scrip, Abraham Lincoln's greenbacks, and the lesser-known Bradbury pound in Britain are all examples of this mechanism that would transform the economy of the country. As a short-term emergency measure only, that's important, we would see a speedy economic recovery result, as has been seen in all instances of the installation of this little-known and lawful mechanism. See Justin Walker speaking at the End of Empire conference on March the 21st, 2017, and I've put the YouTube link there to quite a good presentation that he did in Dartington Hall some years back. I think it was about 2016, if I remember rightly. Definitely worth watching. Continuing. Whilst there is an important distinction between money creation performed by the Treasury, falling under the authority of a public body answerable to the people through trial by jury, and what we have today, which is money creation performed by a clique of powerful private individuals and think tanks with globalist agendas, it is still worth remembering that this is still creating money from nothing and should not be seen as the long-term answer to healthy economics. In a truly individualist society, it is also worth remembering that public assets would be minimal anyway, and to fall into alignment with a society based on the Constitution and natural law, there should be no central tinkering and distorting using central economic policy. And in some ways you could argue that even instigating what was called the Bradbury pound in 1914, or a similar thing, would in a way be enacting centralised policy. So I'm not massively in favour of it long term, but I think and I've made that quite clear there, haven't I, that as an emergency measure in a transitionary phase, then I don't see a problem to that, and it definitely worked. There is historical precedent there for this mechanism working, and it's quite deeply hidden. Why might that be, I wonder? So I think that it's worth looking at that generally, but I would say that in general, being an individualist and with anarchist leanings, I would say that Austrian economics is my favoured area of economics, definitely. As little policy, no central tinkering at all by government, because they're not really government at all anyway. And I agree that there are discussions to be had about how this might work in the context. If you were operating very authentically and purely under the Constitution, how would that actually function? How would we have some kind of a money system? Or would we be left to just trading absolutely freely under any currency that we might choose to decide to use at any given moment? You could have competing currencies, if you like. So the more we move that way towards an anarchist lifestyle, an individualist lifestyle, the less, in a way, that you can actually have an agreed centralized money system at all, really. But I agree that there are discussions that could be had over that, and So that's the end of that section. Quite a short one, but you can sort of see the most important thing being usurist policies are absolutely precluded under the Constitution. That's the most important thing, and I do believe actually that just simply removing that what's going on there would in itself create the most massive positive change, even without doing anything extra on that as well. So that's worth remembering. Okay, that's the end of that section, and then there's one final part where we're just going to consider some sort of conclusions to this and some important final appendix areas as well that I've also considered too. So we'll see you in that one. Okay, cheers for now.